everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 11 of season 4 of Bungo Stray Dogs, and I have been giddy this entire season, but I've been especially giddy these last few episodes, not because they've been, happy fun times, they've been the polar opposite, but because it has just been like all of the reveals, all of the surprises, all of the twists. I was on cloud 9 in the last episode, and I had to watch it late because I had missed some days because of a trip, so it feels like it hasn't been that long since I watched episode 10, and here we are with episode 11, but I have notes from comments. It's been a wild ride, but man, Tachihara, not forgetting that name anytime soon. Absolutely not, although apparently I'm forgetting everybody else's name, but my brain is just mush from this show, so what do you expect? But I do want to talk about some of the comments from the patrons and those on YouTube before we start this episode, and I want to just go ahead and dive in because there's quite a bit. Dana over on the Discord was talking about how Tachihara's VA sings the OP. My, how fitting. I feel like that's just another reveal, another foreshadowing, being like, when everybody was like, oh, Tachihara's VA is singing the OP, I was like, well, that's cool. Wonder why him? Now we know. It's the big hunting dogs reveal. Ariva Durchi Sanya talked about how in the OP, speaking of which, Dazai is the only one in the first part that follows the camera with his eyes. And I was like, ooh. I really like that. It kind of fits Dazai's character as being like the all-knowing character that sees what we can't see or what the other characters can't. So I like that. I like that a lot. Priceless Joe talked about how, several people talked about how the real-life Mori and the real-life Yosano, the authors, were actually rather close. And so I've got a couple really cool comments here, but Priceless Joe notes that in real life, Mori and Yosano were friends, and that Mori actually was responsible for the names of Yosano's children, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that both of their brothers had also served in the military, which kind of connects back to episodes 10's content really well, right? Merlin notes that Yusano noted that the ADA was for Rampo back in season 2. Like, even way back in season 2, Yusano was calling out how the ADA was actually created just for Rampo, and Rampo has just gone around since then collecting all of his gifted friends. So it's really cool that we get, like, callbacks that early on, and I'll talk about a couple more as we get into these comments. But to go along with Priceless Joe's comment, Merlin says that Yusano named her daughters Yatsuo, which means 8 peaks, and Nanase, which means 7 rapids, after a poem that Mori wrote that wishes for Yusano's daughters to find good partners in the future. Like, the poem itself talks about how he thinks that a girl should find a man that would travel 8 peaks to get to her and traverse across 7 rapids. So being like a guy that I would walk 500 miles. Basically, that's the poem. And so Mori's author, the author in real life, wrote that for Yusano for her daughters, and so she named her kids after that. So I thought that was really cool. I liked that a lot. That was very nice. K.A. said that Tachihara's brother's VA was the same voice actor for Suwon from Yona of the Dawn, which I thought was cool, as well as Tono from Yarichin Bitch Club, which, glad I spent Janyu Yaoi watching that so that I can place the voice actors. Fun times. But also, Kay had a really cool comment about how Atsushi's voice actor actually went to college and got a degree to teach Japanese. Kind of like, I'm an English teacher, Atsushi's VA is a Japanese teacher. And it kind of goes along with Atsushi in real life. The actual author was a teacher as well. So I'm like, well, that's so cool. I love that Atsushi's voice actor has a teaching degree. They also play Thorfinn in Vinland Saga. And I find that rather fascinating. So I'm like, look at that. Isn't that cool? And they also play, Minato in Tsurune. So I'm like, so cool. I thought that was really, really cool. The voice acting duo of Octagao and Atsushi, their voice actors have played 3 couples this season, this spring that I'm watching for anime, and it's sending me. I love it. Yan non-binary Jit Lung talked about agreeing with the points about the poem that was posted earlier, but also said that the poem that inspired the title of episode 9 was based off a poem by Hagiwara Sukutaro that was inspired by the author Yusano. So if you get a chance, go back to episode 10. Go back to that comment. It's either episode 9 or episode 10. Go back to non-binary Jit Lung's comment and see that poem. I think it's for episode 9, and check that out because it was pretty cool. Brianna A. talked about how the government agent that was supposed to be, okay, so the government agent that was supposed to be in the Port Mafia instead of Tachihara was actually Sakaguchi, which I was trying to think of who Sakaguchi was. I was like, I can't remember who they are, and I didn't want to look it up because I didn't want it to be like, what if it was a new character and I spoiled myself? So I was like, I'll just wait and see what people say in the comments. And Brianna A on Patreon said that Sakaguchi is actually Ango. And I was like, oh, so that's curious. So Ango is either scheduled to be a hunting dog or a Port Mafia member. I'm guessing hunting dog, but that's rather interesting. We've not seen Ango's ability officially used, so I'm excited to hopefully maybe see that, but I don't know if it'll be this season. Again, I didn't talk about this in the last reaction, but we barely touched on where Ango is in all of this. We don't know, but I realized when I went back and looked at my discussion today, I didn't even talk about Mushitaro. Didn't even talk about Mushitaro, as Fitzgerald calls him. We don't even know where he is. He's alive. We don't know where he is. So that's another loose thread in all of this. Again, I don't know if we'll get to see Ango use his ability in this season or if that's going to wait till next season. But the fact that he was slated to possibly be a hunting dog or Port Mafia member in Tachihara's place is ridiculous. So there's that. But also, Dark Moon B. So I talked in the last reaction about possibly looking at Stormbringer. I'm going to hold off on Stormbringer for now. But they did bring up that there's a light novel called 55 Minutes. And I was like, oh yeah, I have that saved. Someone sent me a long time ago when I first started reacting to Bungo Stray Dogs, a folder on Google Docs that was like all this Bungo Stray Dogs stuff. And several light novels are included in that. I do want to look at Beast this year at some point. But 55 Minutes might be a cool novel to react to, maybe, kind of like what I do with Heaven Official's Blessing. It won't be anytime soon because I have lots of other projects I need to catch up on after I'm done with some of these reactions. But later on this year, if I get some Bungo Stray Dogs withdrawals, I'd like to look at the audio dramas, look at 55 Minutes, be something to look forward to. But I'm not immediately going to do it after the season because I have other plans for the channel. And plus, I want to save it for when I'm having that good old Bungo Stray Dogs withdrawal, because after this season, I have a feeling it's going to be hitting pretty hard. So we'll see, right? But, and then Dana also talked about how, I like the theory that Dana posited that Yasano, if we tie back to when we first met her, she only heals fatal wounds. And knowing what we know now about her character and how her power was abused, we could see that she really only wants to use her power when it's absolutely necessary. So if someone's dying, yeah, she'll use her ability. But if it's just a cut or a scrape, And I like that ties to her character and that she doesn't want that power to be abused anymore. She wants to value life. I like that. But also Dana suggested they were like, you should go back and look back at Motojiro and Yasano's conversation from season 1. So I did. It was great. I mean, knowing what we know now, I was like, damn, okay. But yeah, Yasano back in season 1, I don't remember if it's episode 5 maybe, or episode 8 perhaps. It might have been episode 8. But Yasano says that she's seen 100 times more death than Motojiro. I'm like, 100 times seems rather small compared to what it should be. And says that she's like, even doctors, no matter how hard they try, have the loss of life slip through their fingers. And it's like, yeah, she tried to heal Tachihara's brother over and over again after he died and wasn't able to. And she says no matter how hard she tried, death is not a science, and she'll kill anyone that doesn't value life. So yeah, I was like going back and looking at that conversation with her and Motojiro. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. So yeah, I'm really excited, y'all. The Tachihara reveal was mwah. It was the chef's kiss of the chef's kiss. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed it, how hyped I was last episode. It was a lot. And we have 3 episodes left. We're not getting a resolution. No, we're not getting a resolution in 3 episodes. There are some things that I do want to know, touch base on. We don't know where Mushitaro is. We didn't touch base on him last episode. Don't know about him. Octagawa, where's he? We got 3 episodes left for him to show up. Where's he been this whole time? Yasano is supposedly being shot in the face by Tachihara. I don't think the bullet's gonna... if you told me that Tachihara did shoot her in the face, I'd believe you, but I don't think it's gonna hit her. I think something's gonna get in the way. Could be wrong. Don't know. But we don't know about that. And then we don't know about Natsumi or Futon Man. There's a lot of loose threads we don't know about. And if you watch my episode discussion from last week, everybody's all over the place. So yeah, don't know, but we'll find out, won't we? So we're going to, Huckleberry's like, we're going to start Bungo Stray Dogs. So we're going to start Bungo Stray Dogs, episode 11 of season 4. Holy cow, y'all. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do this, y'all. Oh. I really needed this episode after episodes 9 and 10, which were just, episode 8 was pretty insane, and then episode 9 was like Heartbreak City, and then episode 10 was just absolute insanity. I needed this episode to give us a brief bit of levity, some semblance of levity. Here's the thing. They can't fit everything into 2 episodes. There's no way. There's no way. This is going to be a setup for season 5, because there's no way they can fit in all of these, every single plot thread within 2 episodes. There's just no way. They can't fit in 10 days worth of stuff in that time. So what I think will happen is that we will set up by the end of this. We need to get the gang. We have to do a few things. We have to get the ADA together. We have to get the ADA together, which to develop a game plan. That is what we've got to do. We've got to get the ADA together to develop a game plan that will lead us into season 5. That is the big thing. So season 5 will be the game plan enacted, but we got to get everybody together first. And that is easier said than done, because as we find out now, we've got to update where our where's Waldo, where is everybody? Because now I do think that Dazai, here's my little caveat, I think that we are still going to have Dazai versus Fyodor over in their own little prison, right? They're over in Euroland, in Euro Disney, having a grand old time, and so they're kind of separated from everybody. But now we have at Sushi and Kyoka are here, right? And near them helping them is Mushitaro, which I'm so glad to see him in this episode. It's great. And Ango, oh, my heart for Ango. We'll talk about him. But yeah, so they're getting aided by them, right? Well, what we don't know is we have Kunikita. Kunikita is a mystery. We don't know where he is right now, right? And then we have, we don't know, Kenji and Tanizaki are technically in the catacombs with Yosano. And they're also with, we can put who they're with the hunting dogs. They're with all of the hunting dogs, as well as the hunting dogs are there with Yosano, and then somewhere is Mori and Elise, but we're not sure what's up with them. Also helping them is Fitzgerald up here at Sushi and them. Fitzgerald and Louisa are there aiding as well. And then Hirotsu is Hirotsu's the old man, I could not remember his name, but we think that he might be dead. R.I.P. So we'll just put him on there. Right there. But Elise and Mori are still over there somewhere near the hunting dogs and Yasano. So they're all there, right? We don't know where they are at. I'm just going to put like a little asterisk here. We don't know where Natsumi is at. I think that it'd be kind of cool if Natsumi would help out Kunikita, because we're wondering where he's at, right? What he's doing. It'd be cool if Kunikita ran into Natsumi and helped him out there, but we don't know. That's a big question mark. And then the other angle, the other gifted that we don't know about is Rampo. And I think Rampo is going to go and run into the actual Po and possibly the guild. He might run into Natsumi too. We don't know. He might run into Natsumi instead of Kunikita. But I think that's going to be the case. So we have 4 different threads of where people are. 5 if you count Dazai in that. So do I think that we are going to gather all 5 of these threads together, in 10 days, have 10 days go by, fight the Decay of the Angels, fight the Hunting Dogs, fight Fjordor, fight everything in the span of 2 episodes. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that we are going to find a way, maybe in 2 episodes, to get these 4 threads to line together. And then the game plan is going to be to take out or incapacitate the Hunting Dogs, right? That would be step 1. And then it would be plan to get the page from the Decay of Angels. And then lastly would be the whole thing with Dazai and Fjordor, because they're, behind bars. They're kind of incapacitated in the moment. So we got 3 tasks that we got to accomplish. I think we're going to touch base on this taking out and incapacitating the Hunting Dogs in this season. I think that might be step 1. But then this stuff here, I don't think is going to happen until season 5. I don't think we're going to get into the taking out the Decay. I think we're going to introduce the other Decay of the Angels in this season, but I don't think we're going to take them out. The reason why I say incapacitate them is because the OP target, we still haven't gotten Octagawa. Still haven't gotten him. He has not shown up once this whole season. I am waiting for him to come on and just be a thing. I feel like at Sushi, we're going to tie this down here, like in the OP, I feel like it is going to lead up, because if the Hunting Dogs are over here with Yasano and Kenji and them, and Chuya. We'll put Chuya on there. We don't know where he is at. We'll put him with Mori and Elise. I feel like Atsushi Atsushi's group is going to meet up with Kenji, Tanizaki, and Yasano. They're going to cross paths. And then Octagawa and Atsushi are going to fight the leader of the Hunting Dogs. And it's possible that while that's going on, Yasano, Kenji, Tanizaki, Kunikita, and possibly Rampo are going to team up and fight the other Hunting Dogs, and they may be aided by Ango, Mushitaro, Fitzgerald, Luisa. So they might just overpower the Hunting Dogs. As strong as the Hunting Dogs are, they might just all gang up on them, and Octagawa and Atsushi takes out their leader. And that could be the final battle of season 4. And that leaves us open. I do think we're going to get intros to the other Decay of Angels. We know about. What's fascinating is there's an angel member that's above Fjordor. That's fascinating. Like, what the hell? So we have Fjordor that we've met. We have Nikolai that we've met. There's this user here that has the white hair that's in the OP. I'm assuming we're going to meet them before the season's over. There's the red coffin. Something's in the red coffin. Who knows what? And then there's a 5th member that is the leader. I don't think we're going to meet the leader this season. They may preview season 5, like have a little end credit thing with the leader that's there. We may get that. But I do think we're going to meet the white hair and whatever's in the red coffin. I think there's something in the red coffin. I think we're going to meet them this season, but I don't think we're going to fight them yet. We're just going to meet who they are. And then we'll see, like, I could just see the leader with the page at the end of the episode, at the end of episode 13, being like, look at this. And that's it. I could see that happening. But I think we might take out this thing here and incapacitate the Hunting Dogs, or at least start fighting them by the end of the season. But I don't think we're going to get to this other step and then get the page back, get the ADA cleared. I don't think any of that is happening until next season. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen, but we don't know, right? We don't know. But yeah, I feel like I can see where things can come together. I don't want them to rush it. I want them to let our 4 groups like come together, or at least Rampo's doing something. Rampo is doing something behind the scenes. We don't know what. So if Rampo's does not meet up with the rest of the group, that's fine. If Kunikita doesn't meet up with the rest of them by the end of this season, that's fine. He's off doing his own thing. But I want Kenji, Tanizaki, and Yasano to meet back up with them. And for them, the better, like they said earlier on in the season, the more they are together, the more they are united rather than divided, the better off they're going to be. So I think that's the way to go in terms of making sure that they find a way to get stuff set up for season 5. But yeah, I don't think we're doing all this jazz in one season in 2 episodes. I don't think it's possible because this episode, arguably compared to the last few episodes, not as much happened, but we needed some levity. And Mushitaro, I said this in the reaction, his birthday was actually yesterday. It was all over Twitter and all over the Discord that his birthday was yesterday. And I was like, that's so cool, Mushitaro's birthday. What a great birthday present for our boy. I like Mushitaro's character a lot. I especially like his character now because we needed some damn levity in this. And his character is absolutely hilarious. But let's be real. He was in love with Yokomizo. Like, that wasn't just... They weren't just bros, y'all. They weren't just friends. No. They were something more. And it's really sad. I'm like, it hit me... It hit me the moment we saw his like head in his hands, because that moment is so powerful, because he puts on this front of being this happy-go-lucky character and I'm a clown, and then you see that it's all a facade. He's really heartbroken and he's really struggling with the death of his friend and the fact that he's never going to see him again, and the one thing that he was entrusted with he doesn't have, which Rampo is just dangling like a carrot on a string, but that's Rampo, right? And so yeah, he's like, how is it in the afterlife? I love that he's just writing this letter and he seems so jovial, and he's like, knowing you, I suspect you're looking for ways to manipulate divine powers into allowing you an escape. Like, I bet you're jealous of my lavish lifestyle right now. Like, he has like the very basic minimum, right? And he has some books there. He's like, no, I'm not lying. The meals are extravagant and exquisite. And it's like barely chicken noodle soup and a piece of bread. But oh my God, the way that he eats the bread, it's so cute. He just noms on it. It's the sweetest, cutest thing in the world. Even the Celtic god Rod Rafessa would envy the freedom afforded me during my reading times. And I was like, you guard, give me some reading materials. So he has books there, but I'm assuming he's already read them because he's been there so long. And he's like, give me some reading materials. And he gives him like a washing machine instruction manual. He's so cute. The animation is adorable. And I just imagine the manga, like all these little chibi drawings of him. Absolutely precious. And he just tears up the instruction manuals. He says, I never even think about the fact that you no longer exist in this world. That's such a lie. And the fact that he's writing his dead friend a letter is a lie, right? That part got me. I was like, oh no. And he puts the pen down and thinks back to him and his friend just laughing and calling him Mushikun. And oh my God, I didn't need that pain in my life. I'm sorry, that panel, I didn't need that pain. I didn't ask for it, didn't need it. Show you didn't have to do this. But then they do. And I was getting really sad, and I was like, oh, we're going. And then right at that time, what happens but Kyoka and Atsushi like land on his bed, and he's like, oh, Yokomizo. And I love that Kyoka's like, infiltration is successful, as Atsushi's like just barely hanging on. And he's like, unlike the fool that you are, I'm able to maintain my composure and grace during this crisis. I love that he's just narrating his life and writing it to his friend. That's so sweet. And then he's just like goes absolutely berserk. It's freaking hilarious. I love it. I love it so much. And they're like, well, we're the ADA, sir. We've come and Atsushi's like, we need your help. So yeah, I really like the panel of, I really like the idea that they got help from Fitzgerald. And it's so crazy they use the eyes of God to find him. But I just love the idea of Atsushi with his little hand on the back of the chair. Like, if you told me 2 seasons ago that Atsushi was going to get help from Fitzgerald of all people, I would have thought you were crazy. But here we are. It's so bizarre. It's absolutely insane. I'm like, what is happening? It's crazy. And I love Mushitaro's facial expressions during all of this. He's like, I don't want to help you guys. No. He's like, I'm in this prison writing letters. I'm safe in here. I don't want to help you. And Atsushi's so innocent and sweet and just the most wholesome being. He's like, well, it's the right thing to do. I love Atsushi. He's so pure, right? And then he's like, Mushitaro's like, even if I can leave, my friend is gone. And I love he says, even if I leave, he's not there. I was like, that ain't just bro talk. There's love in them eyes. There's love in them eyes. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's so sad. He's like, even if I leave, he's not. And so I like that Mushitaro is surprisingly, for being a morally gray character that has been helping out like a criminal organization, he's surprisingly against criminal organizations because he says like, because his power has been exploited by them, right? He's kind of apathetic about the government and everything because his power has been exploited by them. So he's like, oh, you're a criminal organization now, aren't you? And Kyoka's like, I'll be whatever I have to be to protect my family and my friends, so sure. And Mushitaro kind of seems to respect that. He's like, fine, whatever. I'll be honest. Can I ship Mushitaro and Ango? Is that a thing? Can we do that? Can I ship Mushitaro and Ango? Because I mean, you have Ango who sits there and writes all the time, kind of like a writer. He writes, he's a tech writer. He's a tech writer. He's just not a novelist. The novelist is the idealistic thing. Ango's making the real dollars being the tech writer. Let's be real. I'm like, Mushitaro, you and Ango seem like you guys could have a lot in common. You've both lost friends, and you regret the decisions that led to those things that happened, so maybe you could commiserate together. I'm just saying. Can I ship them together? I want to ship them together. But yeah, he gets onto them about being in this organization, and he's like, you guys are committing a crime by breaking me out. And that's when Atsushi's like, wait, what? And we find out they're in a bank. Like that I was surprised. I did not anticipate him being held in a government bank. I thought it would be a prison. Like, I honestly thought way back when he was first taken away that he was going to be in the same prison as Dazai and Fyodor. And I was like, there's no way Atsushi and Kyoka could have gotten into that prison. That's in Europe. So it's interesting that we have him in a bank instead of a prison. That's fascinating. But then when you think about it, it's probably easier to go through a bank than it is an actual prison. And I love how he's like, fine, I'll help you. And I love how sincere Atsushi is. He's like, really? You will? I'm like, never change, Tiger Boy. Never change. You're too innocent. And of course, Ranpo uses the manuscript, the one thing that ties him to Yoko in this world. He's like, my one tie to my friend, and that's what they're using against me. With his green suit. I love that he just has his green suit on. It's absolutely adorable. He's like, these bastards using me. Wretched bastards. And I love that he wants the guards to take them. So he just sits there rolling on the floor complaining about his stomach hurting. And I love that Kyoko's like, I know an acupuncture thing that will help. She very much has Yasano vibes where she's like, I can help you out there. And he's like, oh, no, never mind. She's like, if I just stab you 3 times, it'll help. He's like, no, never mind. And he tries it 2 or 3 times and it does not work. The hallway to the Kabbalistic Taurus. He's like, nope, alignment's all better. And that's when they're noticed. And then, did Ango get a new voice actor? I feel like Ango's voice actor has a deeper voice, but maybe it's just me. Maybe because I haven't heard him speak in so many episodes, his voice sounds deeper. But I could have swore he had a different voice actor. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, Ango, he said he wanted to find where Atsushi and them were. And here's the thing. So Ango's whole deal makes more sense now, because he told the other operatives that he was going after the ADA, which he is with the army here. But that makes sense. He wasn't lying to them. He was trying to find them, but he wants to figure out what the deal is with Taneda being stabbed, what the real story is. Dazai has communicated with him that something's amiss. He trusts Dazai and we find out that he used Mushitaro's power. He used it through the government agency one time, and it was to erase the crimes that Dazai had when he left to go join the ADA. It gave him a clean slate. That is the only time he ever did something that was criminal. And God, the fact that he used because he owed Oda. He wanted to do right by Oda. I'm like, my heart just soared hearing that. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. It's all coming full circle. It's beautiful. I love it. So the Special Divisions Ops, they talk about the 7th Agency. And that's when Mushitaro says, it's him. Shit, we're screwed. Like, Ango has a reputation. Why is he here? He's like, Sakaguchi Ango. So, technically, y'all, I could have figured it out that it was Sakaguchi. I could have figured that out if we just let me watch the episode. But it's fine. And he's like, if that man catches us, we're all done for. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, are you aware of an organization called the 7th Agency? They specialize in cleaning up crime and engaging in cover-ups. So the 7th Agency, we're going to put them down here. The 7th Agency is basically like a cleanup crew, if you will. Their job is to cover up government scandal, right? Their job is to specialize in cleaning up things that the government's done. And Kyoka's heard of them. She's like, Fyodor rescued her from crime and demanded cooperation during the cannibalism in return. Yeah. He's like, Ango is the leader of that crime organization, of the 7th organization. And she's like, but he works for the government. And he's like, yeah, the government created the 7th Agency. So it was created by the government. So Ango, I mean, we've known that Ango's been like capable of being like a triple agent all this time, right? So it's not surprising whether he's been doing dealings in and out of that organization. The 7th Agency is the government shadows, cover up of political crimes, using illegal tactics, removing damaging rumors, the lot. He says, I was given all this information so I could delete the evidence. If we're captured, I'll be held here till I die. And so Kyoka kind of backs up saying, yeah, the 7th Agency focused on dealing with the gifted. Even the Port Mafia fears them. So yeah, they're not to be trifled with. There's so many organizations in this series. There's so many groups. We have the ADA, we have the Port Mafia, we have the Guild, we have the House of the Dying Rats, we have the Clock Towers, we have the Cleanup Crew, we have Mimic, there's like a flood of different organizations we've got to keep track of. It's a lot. But yeah. So I love the Mushitaro was like, I'm going to use my ability to get us out of here. And I like that Kyoka and Atsushi like balance the little thing of money on their head. That's actually really cute. And he just waves it around like, see, we have nothing to worry about. But Ango has an ability, and it's to read memories, which I actually love. So the thing about it is, so we don't know the actual name of Ango's ability yet, but it is the ability to read memories from any piece of evidence that he locates. Insane. And so that was the person that Fyodor was thinking that he would use Ango to try to get rid of them because he could see the memories. So Ango, is pissed off because Ango, his own ability is being used against him by Fyodor, and Dazai's telling him that. And I'm sure Dazai told him before that was a possibility, or he was told before that was likely to happen. And so now he's like, what the hell? So of course, Ango, that's just more inspiration for him to help the agency, because he's like, yeah, Fyodor is trying to use me. No. But that would suck to have to be able to read memories, but know they weren't true. We talked about that, the ADA members, Kyoka and them having memories of killing people when they know they didn't. I mean, for Ango, it's the same thing. He's reading memories that he knows are not accurate. And God, they animate the hell out of Mushitaro in this episode, right? They animated the hell out of him. Like, he was sitting there being like, okay, how do I get out? And it's like, you're trapped in a room. And the moment he thinks of his friend, the author, he thinks of Yoko. And just the way they drew his eyes, the way they drew him looking over at him, it was beautiful. He's like, it'd make for an entertaining mystery if a criminal vanished from here. Don't you agree, Mushi-kun? It's the way they animated him is so good. I was like, man, I could stare at screenshots of Mushitaro in this all day long. But yeah, they do the vanishing trick. They use Demon Snow to get them to blow up the wrong vault. Mushitaro was like, I did it. And Atsushi, of course, I like this whole time Mushitaro is thinking back to his friend, because Atsushi's like, well, how did you manage to do this? And he said, someone taught me it a long time ago. And he's so sincere there. His face My heart, y'all. My heart. It's just absolutely beautiful. And when he looks at Mushitaro, he's like, you couldn't figure it out though, could you, Mushi-kun? And he just stares at his friend. We debated thousands upon thousands of times. And that relationship that Mushitaro had with the author, it reminds me a lot of Dazai and Oda and Ango and their conversations in the Bar Lupin and everything. And so when Ango explains why he had Mushitaro delete the evidence to free Dazai and explains that it was for his friend that's passed, Mushitaro can kind of understand and relate, and he knows where Ango's coming from. It's so beautiful. And here's the thing. I love the love that Mushitaro had with the author. Like that is such a beautiful, tragic, heartbreaking thing. But I'm like, I want Mushitaro to find happiness, and if it's gotta be with Ango, I'm supporting this union. I'm supporting this ship. I'm here for it. But then, yeah, I love that Kyoko is busy finding the drain, and that's when they get hit with the tranquilizers, right? And man, the way that they animate Ango in this, the way they animate his eyes like staring down at Atsushi, oh my gosh, the way that they show his eyes through the glasses, he looks so scary. I was like, Ango in Dark Era, I didn't find Ango intimidating. In this, he's very intimidating. I was like, oh, honey, the way they animate him, I'm like, he's pissed. And I'm sure he's mad because he knows his ability is being used against him. He's like, I use this ability to learn everything about the crime scene. Because he's like, I do understand. He says, my special ability allows me to extract memories residing in objects. Yeah, he was the one that Rampo told them about. And he ends up saving them. He pushed them down the storm drain and just shot the blanks. And he says, you believe me that the agency is innocent. And so the message we find out was not from Futon Man. The message that was to Dazai, that was from Dazai, was actually sent by him through Dazai's orders. I love it. I love that Ango is the messenger. We don't know exactly who the messenger is for Fyodor. That part's not clear. But we don't know who Fyodor is getting his words from, but we know Dazai is getting them from Ango. And the fact that Dazai is doing it by using his heartbeat as a Morse code. I'm with that Sushi. I'm like, really? But it's Dazai. It's a parlor trick at this point. Ango's like, it's just something stupid he does. Which is so funny. But it's just like, are you kidding? And he's like, Dazai encodes messages in his heart rate. It's a very Dazai-kun party trick. And Ango almost seems like proud at that moment. Like he knows Dazai, and that's something so stupid, but only Dazai could pull it off. I'm like, Although now I'm imagining all of the fan fiction that would involve if Chuya found out that Dazai could do that, and like Dazai saying I love you in his heartbeat, and Chuya's like gets all flustered about it. Write this fan fiction. I need to read it. But yeah. And then so he's like, what was the point of the charade? There's no telling where Fyodor has eyes. He's like, I can pursue any escapee. Okay. And so, yeah, Mushitaro's like, why is the 7th agency afraid of an enemy? And he's like, that's the thing. He's like, I'm not really with the 7th agency. And then we go to Lucy. I'm so glad Lucy's in this. I'm glad her ability is getting some use. Good on her. And she, of course, doesn't believe that they've done anything wrong because she loves Atsushi. And she's like, Atsushi would never do anything bad. Here's the thing. Lucy is to Atsushi what Higuchi is to Akutagawa. They both love each of them unconditionally, but they're wasting their time. I mean, I love Atsushi and Lucy's relationship. I liked it back in season 1. I've liked it since then. It's very cute. It's not sister-brotherly to me, but it's not romantic either. It's like two really good friends. And of course, Lucy, I think, would like it to be romantic. Atsushi is over his head, right? But the thing about it is that Higuchi loves Akutagawa no matter what, and she's loyal to a fault to him. And Lucy is loyal to a fault to Atsushi. The thing that's funny about it is that Atsushi and Akutagawa handle it very different ways. Akutagawa is hugely self-aware of Higuchi's advances, and he usually ignores her or pushes her away because he doesn't want her to get the wrong idea. But he does acknowledge her and does tell her when she's done a good job, and he does recognize that she is loyal to him. So there's that. Atsushi is just kind to a fault. And so he's like, oh, thanks, Lucy. That's nice. But it just goes completely over his head. He does not get the crush. And I'm like, dude, if Octagawa was standing there, he'd be like, really? You can't notice it? But I love that comparison between them. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, and her just beating him up. It's so cute. And then Mushitaro's like, really? Is this place safe? And yeah, nobody can come in. I love the idea that she showed up saying Atsushi is not evil. There's no way he's a murderer. And of course, Lucy is embarrassed by it. But the thing about it is Mushitaro says, tell me, Sakaguchi Ango, I was captured by an organization that forced me to help cover up their crimes. That evil organization was called the Seventh Agency. He's like, my power was used. He's like, are you truly not with that organization? And he's like, no. He's like, have you ever used their services? And he's like, I have. And that's when Mushitaro was like, then I don't want to be used. And he says, I used it once. And then that makes Mushitaro stop. And he said, 4 years ago, to make sure Dazai could live outside the port mafia, I erased his past crimes. And I love that Atsushi is like, what? You did this? Like, Atsushi is so sincere. He's like, you erased Dazai's crimes? Like, Atsushi has been viewing Dazai as this source of optimism and hope. And so him realizing that Dazai, one, committed all these crimes, but that they were erased by Ango, his face is just, it's so sweet. And I love the look that Mushitaro, he's like, why did you dirty your hands that one time? Because he did the same. And Ango says, I did it. And we see the Bungo, the stray dogs, and them tinking their glasses. And he says, a desperate attempt to make amends for a friend long gone. Which is exactly what Mushitaro did. Mushitaro dirtied his hands once. And it was to get rid of, he dirtied his hands to get rid of the author because his friend requested it. So he's done the exact same thing Ango has done. And he did it for the exact same reasons. Yep, and he understands. He knows exactly where Ango's coming from, and that changes his mind, right? He's like, for a friend long gone, He's like, you are correct, Mushitaro-san. The Seventh Agency is evil. Their scope, their members, their hierarchy, everything is unknown. Even I had to go through 4 levels of middlemen just to work with that government crime organization. So that, yeah, they're a whole thing in itself. Like this Seventh Agency, a whole thing in itself that we don't even know about. We just know Ango was a member of it. It was like a double agent at one point to get Dazai's crimes cleared. That's like we're opening up even more cans of worms, right? I'm like, show, you just keep opening up new layers for us to go through, right? He's like, that's why you work independently. He's like, yes. And so they have a plan. So the thing about the page is that the page has been written on one side. And the thing about it is you basically have to draft out what you're going to write on the page before you do it. Because once you start writing, the moment you stop writing, that page is done. So that's good to know. You can only use one side of the page. And once you've written your story, once your pen leaves the page, it's over. Once you stop writing the story ends. That's it for that page. But they still have another side. So their plan is to dismantle the agency, get all of their opponents out of the way, do this mass global terrorism, and then use the other side of the page of the book to erase reality, to erase the gifted. Makes sense. And they're planning on doing this in the next 10 days. Now, why the full moon? Dramaticism, right? Why the full moon? Dramaticism. And so I like that Mushitaro pulls up a chair and he's like, okay, what do you want to know? I didn't think we were getting this story in this episode. When they started doing the ED, I thought it was going to be like a preview. But he's like, nope, I'll tell you everything you need to know. He's like, but in 5 minutes, you're going to regret it. And so they ask, and I like it's less than 5 minutes, what is the Decay of the Angels? And then Mushitaro's like, well, it is its own organization, a terrorist organization comprised of 5 members. You have the demonic Fyodor, the jester Nikolai, and 2 other extremely talented gifted. and a founder who manages them. So just like the ADA has Fukuzawa and Port Mafia has Mori, the Decay of the Angels have a founder. Whatever that amounts to. And they're like, somebody above Fyodor. And he's like, I don't know what their ultimate goal is, but I know their current plan is to erase the state. And they have the page, right? And so they're just going to use the other half to basically finish the job. But because of the rule where you have to make it a novel, it has to have a causal, it has to have a narrative causality to it, then the grand conspiracy requires a lot of text. So I have to like do drafts, I have to get it all planned out and get everything ready. So I like that we have two members. We have one in red, one in yellow. We have Fyodor, we have Nikolai, and then we have the main leader in purple. Which is kind of funny because we have like Fukuzawa and Mori both kind of like a purple edge to them in their color schemes, right? Maybe it's just Mori. They're going to engage in global terrorism and do this attack. And so Ango's like, well, then that just means that we got to solve it. I like that Ango and Mushitaro kind of go off on their own, being like, we're going to escort you and relay the information to Dazai-kun and see what we find out. So I'm curious to know next episode if we get Dazai's reaction. I feel like I said, I feel like we need to meet the other two members, at least the other two. Now, whether we meet the founder or not, I don't know. But we at least need to meet the two, or at least one of the two that's in the OP that we can see. We need to meet them in the next two episodes. And then Octagawa needs to show up. I feel like Octagawa is going to show up and be the one that helps Yasano. Now that I'm thinking about it, now that we're tying everybody together, I feel like Octagawa is going to show up to save Yasano because Gin is there. And then he's going to be like, the were-tiger is near? And they'll be like, yes. And that's when he's going to connect back to Atsushi. And they're going to go down and at some point fight the hunting dogs. Or Octagawa is going to engage in a fight with the leader of the hunting dogs and Atsushi's going to show up and help. Seems legit. Seems legit. But yeah. I love this episode. This season hasn't missed. My only hope is that they don't rush these next two episodes and instead we end up with getting set up for season 5. I think that's what they're gonna do. I'm hopeful for that, but we'll find out, right? So, whew, yeah. This was a great episode. Lots of levity with Mushitaro. I was really excited by it. I really liked it. Ango's ability, the fact that he can see memories through objects. He's been writing all of these death reports for different people. So if they just gave him an object that was someone's, he could read all the memories behind it. Oh my God. So if he had the dog tag that Tachihara had, he could read all the memories associated with it. Oh my gosh. That would be insane. Oh, that just makes him even more heartbreaking. Him and Mushitaro, they deserve each other. They've gone through all this heartbreak. They deserve to have each other. They're both in sweet suits. Let them have each other. They have similar hairstyles, same suits, just different colors. I'm rooting for this. I'm shipping them now. Like crack a bottle over the ship of Mushitaro Ango. I'll take it. But I'm excited to hear your comments down below. I cannot wait to see what's going to be happening in the next several episodes. We only have 2 more to go this season. Looking back, this season has been chocked full of action and thrills and reveals and everything. And we still have so much to go. So real quick though, I want to give a special shout out to our patrons over on Patreon, specifically our philanthropy tier, because they help support me doing the things that I love. And I'm very grateful to them. So thank you so much to Edgar, to Dana, to Larry Manning, to Truck, to Anime Annie, to Kenny, to Tyrone, Arjo, Shimoyama, and Be Happy. Thank you all so much. And thank you Patreon and patrons for helping to support me and doing what I love to do, which is watch these shows and talk about them with you alongside Whiteboard Coon. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care, and I'm excited to hear your comments down below. Please no spoilers, but I'll be back next week with episode 12 of Bungo Stray Dogs. All my love. See you guys.